Hey everyone, New 3012 here. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Um, Recently I had to do something for college and that took the entire weekend, which I don't like that. It definitely cut into time I could be recording, editing, celebrating that I have finally achieved my first goal, which I was worried I would never get. Well, I was actually worried I'd never get 1 sub, so getting 10 definitely is something to breathe a sigh of relief, and I'm very grateful. It definitely feels amazing to get, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you that have subscribed, and I hope you stay subscribed for as long as I keep making videos. And I hope you enjoy all the videos I put out. Anyways, last recording session, Keiichi went through his entire plan and decides to go to the school to get his baseball bat to carry out the deed of murdering Satoko's uncle. So let's continue. Make sure to like the video if you enjoy it and subscribe if you haven't already. There's nobody at school. I can hear the playful voices of children. This was the first time I'd seen the school with such a lack of human presence. Still, I quieted my breath and looked around, not wanting to be unprepared. It had gotten darker outside, but it was almost like my eyes could see more clearly now. I made absolutely sure of my safety, then walked to the heavy construction machine I'd hidden the metal bat behind. I had a tinge of worry, a premonition, that someone had found the bat and hidden it somewhere else as a prank. If that happened, would I take that as an opportunity to desist? Whatever. To stop. If it really wasn't there, then the sensation of chilled metal. It was still here, where I left it. It hadn't run away. Satoshi hadn't run away. He'd waited there patiently for me. Sorry for the wait, Satoshi. It's been a long time coming. You prepared for this? Through the metallic touch, Satoshi grins at me in my mind. Yeah, you're kind of insane. Sorry, dude. That's why I should be asking, you know. I did this last year already. You should be more worried about yourself. Right on, Satoshi. Let's show him a bad time. Satoshi's bat got lighter and lighter and fit into my hands like it was being absorbed. It didn't feel wrong to swing this. I could move it around so naturally it was like an extension of my own right arm. Of course it felt like that. Satoshi and I were holding one bat together. Next, I would make the call to lure the man out. It wasn't a bad time for it. My friends were doubtlessly parading happily through the stalls. I hadn't considered where to make the call from. My house and Satoko's were pretty far apart. If I called from my house, I wouldn't make it. Couldn't I use the school phone? But, as I thought, the room was locked up and I couldn't get in. Shit. I'm so naive. He should have at least figured this part out. I couldn't call him. And just for that, was today all over? I'm sorry, Satoshi. And just as I cursed my own naivete, a miracle occurred. A bicycle came into the schoolyard. It was a familiar middle-aged man. Oh, the principal. The one from the Forest Service field office, or not. Why? Wasn't today Sunday? Was he here to pick up something he forgot? Anyway, the forest officer went around back and felt around in his pocket, then unlocked the door and entered. Huh? The best possible coincidence, and it had to be Satoshi who saved me. The metal bat, through just my contact with it, told me this was a chance I couldn't let slip by. Obviously not. If you're really committed, then you kinda have to go now. The sections for the forest office and the school were neatly separated. I felt the man head into the forest office storehouse, which was far in the back. Students weren't allowed into it. That's actually pretty interesting. The door didn't match its fittings well, so it didn't close all the way, and the gap in the door opened slowly as if to lure me in. I took a deep breath and went in. I tiptoed along silently and stealthily, and made it into the teacher's lounge. That was the only place with a phone. As I held my breath in the teacher's lounge, I heard the forest officer walking back over. Then the back door clattered shut and was locked. I glanced out the window at the schoolyard and watched as the man got on his bike with nothing had happened and rode out of the school gate. The school once again emptied, becoming deathly silent. I waited for a bit to make sure the silence was the real deal, then reached for the telephone on the principal's desk. I fished Satsuko's house phone number out of my pocket. Yes, the number in the class directory for Satsuko had been the one from their house now, where she lived with her uncle. I touched the dial with my fingers, and then thought for a moment about what to say, exactly, and when he picked up. Despite how many times I'd gone over it in my head last night, now that I had my finger on the dial like this, it started to seep out of my mind like a cracked bullet leaking water. What the fuck? I can't read. Like a cracked bucket leaking water. Why would a bullet have water in it? Simple would be best. More importantly, to say it straight and not sound suspicious. I counted off 3 heartbeats and spun the dial. Thank God for the time of, no caller ID. The call sound. Would Satsuko's uncle pick up? Obviously, it would annoy him. Now, of all times, the hope that he wouldn't pick up, and the feeling of doom and the knowledge that I couldn't save Satsuko if he didn't, whirled around in a vortex. Hello? It was the voice of a grumpy man, like he had just woken up. Exactly. He picked up. Hello? Say your name. I know you're Hojo, you asshole. It'd be terrible if I got it wrong. I made up my mind. I had all the initiative on my side. Here we go. This is the Shishibona Okonomiya police station. Am I speaking to the Hojo residents? I was changing my voice, but did he really think I sounded like an adult? Would he believe I was the police? Oh, yeah. This is Hojo. We currently have your daughter, Satsuko Hojo, here with us. What? Satsuko? What did the brat do? He fell for it. I could tell by how tense he was that he didn't doubt my words. I can explain the particulars once you have arrived here. Would you mind coming to the station right away? Right now? I already took a bath myself, so I don't really want to go out like this, though. What? You don't want to come because you already took a bath? Yes, right away. Right away? Jeez, man, what the heck did Satsuko do? I'll explain once you're here. I'll be waiting. Thank you for your assistance. 1 second. I don't know where the police station is. Where am I going? You moron, what the hell? Okonomiya police station? I don't know where it is either. Are you from around here? Well, what you can say is just a general location. Just give general directions of what you know the path will take you past. Just say it's like, 3 miles down the road from the school, you take a right. After passing the school, head straight for 3 miles, then take a right, and the police station will be there. Why don't you know that? A greasy sweat came over my body. Just something like that. Something vague. Just as I was about to choke, he spoke. Oh, next to the fire station, right? That's pretty far. Thank God he remembered on his own for me. I didn't care where the police station was, so long as he left his house to get there. Then we will be waiting here. Oh, wait. What am I asking for once I get there? What's your name? Oishi. On top of that, he wanted to know my name? Just leave your goddamn house already. Maibashi. Excuse me. That was close. I must thoughtlessly told him my real name. I managed to change the last syllable of it, but I put the receiver down like I was running away. My fingers were trembling and I was soaked with a tepid sweat. I wasn't just nervous about the phone call. With that call, everything had finally been put into motion. God damn it, I would have just said Oishi immediately. Oishi. Because in case he writes it down, you got something. They said he got a call from Oishi. Then, that's interesting. I left the school, it was locked before, but it was easy enough to open from the inside. But I couldn't lock it again after I left, and that doesn't matter. In terms of being thorough, I wanted to lock it, but I couldn't waste time going back to the teacher's lounge and looking for the key. Well, there'd be no way to put the key back in unless you opened a window. Actually, you probably could do that. Just open the window. Because I doubt she's going to go to every single window and unlock them all. So you just unlock it, open it, and then close it on your way out. I mean, that'll be as good as you can get. And then she'll just assume she didn't lock one window. You know, that kind of thing. Or just open the back door. Either one, it doesn't really matter. I need to rush back as fast as I could and ambush him. Sprinting. I zoomed back to the scene on my bike. If Satoga's uncle got out of town before I got there, everything would be over. He learned there would be no one at the station named Maibashi, and things would get pretty messed up. As I returned to full speed, I passed a family wearing yukatas. They must have been on their way to the festival. Many people in Hinamizawa knew my face, though I didn't know theirs. Even just passing by them like this made me uneasy. But I didn't generally come around here, so those living in the area might not have known much about me. That didn't matter right now. I needed to get back as fast as possible to control my breathing and to ambush the man. I hid my bike in the thicket, picked up Satoshi's bat, which I had just left hidden in the shade. And then I held my breath, waiting to see someone. I wondered if he still hadn't gone here. Or maybe he went out after the phone call and passed by here already. Are you kidding? That lazy fuck, he's taking his sweet goddamn time. He's a lazy old fuck. Actually, I don't know about old, but he's just a lazy piece of shit. But he's not going anywhere fast. Let's just say that. I couldn't figure out which it was, and was set upon by an indiscriminate impatience. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Even if he came out here already, he'd pass by here on the way back, right? The end result would be the same. It wouldn't change the fact that he'd die. He'd probably be coming on his motorcycle. How would I stop him then? Swing. You jump out like right next to him and just swing. And with your momentum and him on the motorcycle, it could take his fucking head off. I figured how it would best not to think too hard and just hit him as he passed, or beat him out of his seat. The path was made of pebbles. If I hit him as hard as I could and made him lose his balance, he wouldn't be able to help falling. And then, the course of Higurashi stopped. The sound of a bike approached from far away. I couldn't tell what sort of motorcycle it was from the sound, but I'd seen it parked before, so I'd know. It was getting rapidly closer. It was almost here. Oh my god, watch it not actually be him. If he just went a little farther, he'd cross into that thicket and appear in front of me. I'd take a moment to make sure it was him, and then when I had, I'd put my plan into action. The motorcycle appeared. A few easily identifiable characteristics told me it was Satoga's uncle's bike without a doubt. Was it really him? Was it really Satoga's uncle? I wasn't making a mistake, was I? I looked at his characteristics again. Its color, shape, and most of all the man's clothes and face. Those last feelings of hesitation, I did away with them. Satoga, now, your Nini will end it, okay? Closer, closer. The bike came closer. Let's go. Oh, time to kick his ass. Satoshi. Yeah. Whoosh. I jumped out of the thicket. I used my shoulder to basically tackle the uncle on the bike with all my might. Or you could have just done that, sure. Ah! He gave a dumb shout at his bike as his bike completely lost its balance. Finally, it fell, the bike scattering clouds of sand, and after spinning, it stopped. Her uncle, tossed to the ground, didn't understand what had just happened and groaned for a few moments, crouched on the ground. Oh shit. My breathing started to become ragged. No, I couldn't have this emotion. Some weird secretion crossed through my brain and nearly made me hallucinate. Her uncle was groaning. Now was the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What was I doing? Savoring the moment. All the sounds in the world cut off. My mental chaos from a moment ago withdrew like a lie, and I could feel the temperature in my head rapidly cooling down. The tension in my muscles all went away like the strings that had been attached to had been cut, and I let my hands dangle at my sides. It wasn't quite like exhaustion. If you calm down now, Keiichi Maebara, do you need to remember again why things got to this point today? Scrape. Scrape. I stepped over the pebbled path, taking one step after another, then towards Satogo's uncle. Oh, fuck. I would be, like, shitting myself. That would be scary as shit. And the more I walked, the more my breathing calmed. The more I walked, the more I felt my body cooling, calming, chilling with frost. Yes. At this moment, this guy had lost permission to live. I had just rescinded it. So he mustn't stay in this world any longer. If he lived any longer, if Satogo's misfortune continued, it would be my responsibility for having allowed him to live. You die now. I could feel the cooling substance going through my whole body, even down to my capillaries. Her uncle was at my feet now, still on the ground like an idiot. I smiled coldly at how ridiculous he looked. Oh, that hurt! That's all it took. For it to hurt? Satogo's heart hurt much more, and now you're gonna feel that. And with your life, I'll make up for her pain. I erased all unnecessary information from my mind. I prioritized the murder of this scum. Execute, execute, execute. Wham! Utterly calmly, I delivered my first strike to the back of his head. See, that's no fun. I would have kicked him with my foot, like right to his chin, so he flips onto his back. And then just take the bat, hit one of his kneecaps, like as he's on his back, because they're exposed at this point. Just go to town on one of them, then the other one. Fucking destroy him. I wanted to get the most effective spot, at least during that first moment. I'd have to attack him while he was at his most defenseless. On your back's way more defenseless. Ugh! If he was hit in the head, he'd cover his head. It was a defensive reaction to all humans made, like machines. He used both hands to cover his head, so he couldn't pick himself up off the heap he was in on the... Wow. He couldn't pick himself up off the heap he was in on the ground. Good God. That's a terribly written sentence. He couldn't pick himself up off the heap he was in on the ground. Good God. That's such an awkwardly written sentence. He couldn't pick himself up off the ground, being in the heap that he was currently in. After becoming a heap, basically. That's, just awkward. Like pounding a caterpillar into the dirt, I hit him over and over. See, I would kick him a little, too. If he covered his head, I'd hit him in the side. If he covered his body, I'd go for his head. If he rolled over, I'd strike his feet. Strike his kneecap. His knees, there you go. His elbows. Fuck. I didn't care where anymore. By just delivering one blow after another, I induced panic in him. I retained my overwhelming advantage, but I hadn't done nearly enough to deliver a fatal wound. It's enough. Ah! Her uncle skillfully pulled himself off the ground and started to run like a fleeing rabbit. See, that's why you hit his kneecaps and break them. It wasn't a judgment he'd made after seeing my face and decided whether to fight me. Right now he was fleeing by instinct, just trying to escape from the threat that had presented itself. Fight or flight. And he's a piece of shit, so he just runs away. like the scum he is. See, I would fucking fight. Like, just eventually just try to grab the bat and rip it from him. That's all you have to do. Because Keiichi's kind of weak, not gonna lie. If he got both arms around that bat, you could easily just put up your leg and kick him off and pull it from him. But again, that's thinking logically. He's not exactly in that good space. Or he can like just distance himself, get up, and just move away from him. And then that's how you can observe the situation and how you can slowly get the advantage back. A counterattack from the more physically capable uncle is what I was most concerned about. Exactly. He may have run, but it wasn't all that unlucky. And the odds were in my favor. The uncle didn't run away towards people, but off the path into the woods. How pleasant that he would run in a direction where nobody else was. He was fleeing into strange geography, like a rat that instinctively runs into tight spots over and over. Yes, he was no longer human. He was a rat. The blood vessels in my legs expanded and my total oxygen supply increased. I lowered myself to gain the most explosive velocity I could. Oh shit! Without breathing, I became a wind-like shadow and dashed. I crossed thickets, crushed dead tree branches underfoot, and dove through the woods like a bullet. He ran so cowardly, arms flailing as he went. After catching up to him, I didn't need so much as to blink, as a blink of an eye to strike him again. My senses, mind, and body were all sharpened purely to kill this man. This was the first time I'd felt like this. Well, this was the first experience I'd ever had at killing someone. It felt natural, continuing to do this for the first time. And that meant I had this much talent for killing. I was gonna say fun. I can't believe how much fun I'm having. Or perhaps the act of killing was so simple that anyone could do it. I didn't struggle or grow tired at all chasing the clumsily fleeing uncle. See, I don't know. I would have a little bit of joy while doing it. No matter how much he ran, it was like trying to get away from his own shadow. He couldn't get away from me. I could easily aim at his back, his shoulder, and his head, even from this unnatural stance. See, that's why you gotta hit him like right in the knee, right as he hit his planting foot, right as he raises the other one, because that hurts like a bitch. And he's not gonna get up for a little bit after that. Each time I struck him, he wailed in pain and begged pitifully for forgiveness. But it didn't disrupt my mind. I was neither excited nor plagued by hesitation like before. I felt sharp. I felt like a carnivore. Of course, so did the uncle, who was trying to run away because he didn't want to die. He didn't want to be eaten, like a herbivore running away with all its might, trying to get away. Like a fucking zebra. Except he's probably more like an ox. Not an ox. Like a cow trying to get away from like a lion at this point. You know, he can take a lot of hits, but he's going down eventually. Despite all the attacks, despite all the hits, he kept on fleeing without even staggering. And despite the bad footing in the forest, he impressively never tripped over anything. But there was no need to admire that fact. It was simply proof that he was no more than an animal. If he was chased, he would run. If he was going to be killed, he would run. He bared his fangs at the weak, but couldn't oppose the strong whatsoever. He was lowly, vulgar, a diminutive animal. Like a hyena. That's a good one too. Such a puny little creature had harmed Satoko. Scar after scar to her body and mind. Deep wounds that might not ever go away as long as she lived. Hell. 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 Oh. Ah. My cold, calm emotions suddenly turned into bestial ones. My personality changed into something specialized for murder, purely to devour the diminutive animal before me. Yeah! The uncle gave a puny little shriek, covered his head, and ran. I'm impressed by how much you can run. Fine, run as much as you like. I'll be your death. I will choose the moment at my leisure. Your legs will hurt, your lungs will feel about to burst, your head will hurt from lack of oxygen. If you feel the pain has become worse than death, then by all means stop any time. Without turning back, suffocating of his own terror of the approaching death, he just ran shamefully onward. You'll just die tired and in pain. He ran, but was chased, his head bashed with the metal bat, sweat and drool flying everywhere, blood clinging to him. From his mouth came the sounds of a coarse, irregular breathing and high-pitched screaming that verged on crying. And pleas for forgiveness to someone, I didn't know who. Each and every second was a second of atonement that I granted him. Now run, 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 run. Then fall and moan and die. Where did you even crawl out of anyway? You were never here before. If you were never here, you never should have showed up. If you never showed up, our lives would still be fun and enjoyable. We would have gone back to today's festival, waited for each other, and gone to the shrine laughing. We would have been playing amongst the stalls right now. We'd be browsing the strange food stalls you only saw at festivals, trying to get prizes from goldfish scooping, ring throwing, or target practice. Meals would surely make it into a competition, and we, as a club, would have a grand time. And everyone would have been cheering for Rika's dedication dance, and everyone would have say how fun it was, and it would give us energy for days to come. Fun, enjoyable, and funny warm time spent with friends. And that would have happened, but it didn't, and now it was all smashed to pieces. There's no doubt that would be what the world was like if you never showed up. You were the obstacle, the mistake, the heresy in the world. But I could correct that mistake now. I would erase you and make it so this last week never happened. Tonight was the Watanagashi Festival, the holy night where taking just one life was permitted in the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse. It looked like the Higurashi stopped crying at some point. When the Higurashi cried, everything would end. And the Higurashi silenced. Lowly one, the hour of atonement is at an end. The Higurashi have stopped their crying, thus it is the end. The end, the end, the end, end! You don't have to run anymore. Die with those dirty brains of yours smashed everywhere. Ugh. Death. Lightning and thunder struck like an explosion. It was so loud it shook the ground and I smelled gunpowder. The response I got this time was clearly different from the one before. The metal bat crunched into the crown of his head. It was like the top of his head had caved in. The bat felt like it was biting him. Oh, fuck. Oh, that last part was a little brutal. It had been the final killing attack that visited him when I didn't overlook the opening he left as his knees gave out from under him. I remained alert for a few moments, then thud, thud. I planted both knees in the ground and then fell forwards, burying my head in the ground. I've been holding back my ragged breathing, but now it all came out like a dam bursting. My head was dizzy and light, and unable to maintain my balance, I leaned against a nearby tree. The uncle didn't try and guard his head any longer. He accepted his fate. After a disgusting sort of spasm, he stopped moving. Did I get him? Did I get him for sure? I fought back my exhausted urge to fall over where I stood, and drew towards him carefully, bat still at the ready. It was possible he was faking it and trying to wait it out. Should I check for a pulse? No, just hit him in the head a couple more times. I realized right away, though, how unnecessary that would be. If I thought he might be faking it, then I would just have to keep pummeling him until I was satisfied. Exactly. I fought back my ragged breathing again. Then I swung my bat far above and brought it down. Clunk. His body lapped like a bow, but he didn't try and cover his head. Then once again, leaped like a bow. Sorry, didn't catch that the first time. Then once again, I aimed for his head and swung. His reaction was the same this time. Nothing but nice, juicy innards. After spending a few moments making his head into mochi, the hits gradually started to feel different, and then it started to spray a filthy, dark red liquid everywhere. That was enough. It was definite now. I had absolutely killed him. There was no sense of accomplishment, nor one of regret. I didn't feel anger towards Satoko's uncle, nor pity towards Satoko herself. Instead, right now, I was feeling like my heart had been stolen by the downpour. It had begun to rain at some point, and how comfortable I felt. The rainwater drenched my body and dripped down to the ground. The excitement within me faded as the rain washed away the grime. In exchange, my shoes were so wet they made splashing sounds. And despite abusing Satoshi's bat like that, it wasn't bent very much. There's a few dents in it, probably from hitting the man, but nothing that would make it seem different from before. Instead, it had been stained with black, with red, with mud and blood. But that itself would be evidence. The one piece of evidence needed to prove that my delusions hadn't just been daydreams, and that I'd ended Satoko's uncle for all eternity. Alright, Keiichi, calm your mind. The time for passion is over. Now is the time to be cold as ice. Fuck. Ooh, creepy. Ooh, don't like that feeling. I needed to bury the body. But where was I? I simply followed the man as far as he ran into the darkness. I couldn't take a guess as to how far we'd run. See, that's why you always bring a flashlight or a lantern. It was already pitch black around us. The only light I had to go on was the very faint light of the road a little farther down. It was so dark out. I hadn't noticed the darkness until just now. My vision was so good I could just see this man's ugly hairline. I could have counted the pores in his head. Oh, and apparently we did not get a sprite of him. I thought he was actually important. Never mind. It was only now that I had realized how much crazy strength I had mustered at that moment. I went over to the streetlight. I looked up and down the road, desperately trying to figure out where I was. This is... oh no. This was the one road connecting Hinamizawa to town. Oh fuck, we went far. We were unbelievably far away from Satoko's house. And the two of us really run so far at a distance. Oh my god, is he gonna kill Tometake? Oh my god. Oh, if that twist came out, that would be fucked up. Like, you know how he said he clawed his own throat out? That would be like Keiichi actually claws his throat out. Oh, that would be weird as fuck. My surprise at that was accompanied by knowledge of the miraculous fact that despite running so far and making so much noise, we hadn't come across anyone at all. It was a long way between here and the ambush location where I dug the hole. There was no way I could carry the body that far. Wait, aside from that, the bike the man took here was still lying in the middle of the path. That would be an issue. The police could tell whose motorcycle it was by looking at its license plate, and they wouldn't just leave it at that. Thankfully, the corpse was in a dark forest. In terms of urgency, dealing with the bike would come first. And I wanted to get the shovel back from where I'd left it next to the hole. I shouldn't drag the body there. I should have to deal with it right now, here. Fortunately, the ground was like mud from the downpour and was more sludgy here from where I was before. Might be able to dig a grave quickly here. Of course, my bicycle was still over where I'd left it too. It still wasn't over. Homicide had only been half of my goal. The other half would be just as important as the first. I would completely hide the body, not allowing for a beginning to happen. I would erase the man like he had never existed, and regain the peaceful times we had before. I bent my head backwards and calmed my mind even further. The big water droplets struck my brow mercilessly. They were actually quite comfortable, and for a while I let my desire have its way. After confirming that I was sharp again, I started running through the rain. God, nothing beats like a really good downpour. and just feeling it wash over you. Nothing feels better than that. The motorcycle was in the grass at the roadside. Considering how it looked, pelted with rain and covered in mud, it actually seemed like it had been lying there for a very long time. The plan was to drop the motorcycle into the swamp. The swamp was a bit of a walk from here. I lifted the bike up. I didn't think it would be so heavy. It's a piece of fucking metal. I was a little surprised. But once I had it upright, it was fairly easy to roll it along. Still, pushing this thing all the way to the swamp was really not something I wanted to do. I could no longer ignore my exhaustion, and it warned me numerous times of how far away the swamp was. This motorcycle, I wonder if I could ride it well enough. Once I got it going, it would basically the same as a bike. Wouldn't it get me to the swamp quickly? A plan suggested by my exhaustion. The anxiety at getting on a motorcycle for this first time withdrew. That is a bad idea because it's quiet. You don't want a noise of a motorcycle going off. I turned the key and then just kicked this pedal, right? Yeah. Vroom vroom. It's on. And then I gripped the handlebars, first the right, then the left. Ugh. Maybe I twisted them too much. The bike lurched and did a wheelie like an angry horse. I lost it for a second, but it was just a problem of how much torque to apply. Let's try that again. This time slowly, gently. That time it went well. It was strange to be on a two-wheeled vehicle that would go even if I didn't pedal. Very odd, but I got used to it quickly. Mion once told me you could get a scooter license within a day, and she was clearly right. This was pretty easy. I needed to throw the metal bat into the swamp too, but I didn't know how I would pack that back into the motorcycle. Just throw it separately. Without much other choice, I stuffed it into the back of my shirt, feeling like a ninja carrying a katana. If I put the tip down to the seat of my pants and hunched over, it wouldn't fall out. I got back on the bike and this time got going without any difficulty. Or you could, just hold it. I mean, really. Because once you get going, you can hold the bike, the handles. At least one, you could probably... Actually, true. He hasn't actually ridden a motorcycle before, so I wouldn't try to get too fancy of what you can be doing with a bat, but theoretically speaking, you could probably hold the handle, at least one handle, and be fine. Even if you had to hold two, you could probably hold the bat with it as well.